Hey, good morning, guys. Before my day gets going, I just wanted to chime in on a couple things that, well, if you go on the internet right now, there's a lot of pros and cons, or the pros and against Zack Snyder returning to the DC universe, and a lot. First of all, fanboys are not going to have much say on this, so let's be very clear. But it's going to boil down to contracts, and if you take a look since the Man of Steel and since his casting in Batman versus Superman with Gal, and then eventually Justice League, pretty much anything that has to do with that world, he's had some kind of involvement, including, so if he wasn't directing it, he was producing it. So there's precedent for this already. So even though he might not have creative input, let's be very clear, he might not have creative input. I think he's still going to be a producer, maybe an executive producer on these movies going forward. Any movie that has Gal, Jason, Ben Affleck, and so on, for the simple reason that his contracts might require it, and we kind of forget how unions work, whether it's the Directors Guild or the Producers Guild. If any of his creative process is going onto the screen, he's going to get some kind of credit for it, whether we like it or not. Okay, so think about it. I'm going to use a good example, okay, which would be the Spider-Man movies. Okay, look, Avi Arad, the guy that used to run, Marvel years ago, he doesn't have much creative input in any of these Spider-Man movies. Basically, it's being run by the studio themselves, but they're the ones who had certain rights. Now, we're going to say, well, Zack Snyder didn't have the rights, and that's true. He didn't have the rights to Superman or the Justice League or any of those characters, but he did have contractual. The way the Producers Guild work, the way the WGA, DGA, PGA, they really are out there to protect the filmmakers, writers, producers, and so on from getting ripped off from any studio. And even if he has nothing to do creatively, right, he's going to end up continuing to be listed as a producer. Now, the big question is, why wouldn't they want to have him involved whatsoever, right? It doesn't make any sense. Whether, at the end of the day, he's still a good filmmaker. Now, some people say, oh, he's not, and so on. Look, he's done well, okay? Again, he won't. I don't think he's going to be directing anything from here on out. But same way, Chris Nolan. Let's take a look. Chris Nolan was also a producer of some of these Snyderverse films, right? So, again, I totally believe that the contracts, the way they were written, he's going to have some involvement, okay? And so be it. No big deal, guys, alrighty? But some of the vitriol that we're seeing on on the internet because he is or he isn't, it's ridiculous, okay? So now let's talk about another one, just to give you some kind of comparison. Can you be a producer and not have any creative input? Yeah, look, we're going to look at one more franchise, and that's the Transformers franchise. The two guys who had the rights to this, and they took it to, DreamWorks, and they got Michael Bay involved and everything, and or Paramount. Sorry, it was Tom DeSanto and Don Murphy. These two guys have no creative input on these films, and they haven't had any real creative input since Transformers 1, maybe a little bit of Transformers 1, but after that, Transformers 2, because of conflict of personality and so on, they ended up kind of, basically, they got paid, they got a credit, and that was pretty much it, okay? To the point that even during the press events of the Transformers movies, right, they really weren't even invited to the press events. Yes, obviously to the premiere and stuff, but, because they had contractual rights, right, till this day, Tom DeSanto and Don Murphy continue to receive paychecks for any Transformers property that comes out. All right, guys? So again, contracts, it's what's going to dictate what involvement he's going to have. And I'm pretty sure that Zack had an amazing attorney, right? When he kind of drafted Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman and Justice League. And I'm going to say, my money says this man is going to have something to say with the movies that have his actors or the actors that he casts in it. All right, guys. All right, listen. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this. Do you agree, disagree? Leave me a comment below. Thanks, guys.